So the scene our deputies responded to and our detectives are currently investigating is one that can only be described as heart-wrenching tragedy for everyone involved. While we're at the very beginning or stages of this investigation, what I can tell you is just before 7 o'clock, our deputies responded to the 7500 block of Pitch Pine Place here in Tampa. We're at the Place 1 condominiums. They responded to the report of a child who was struck by a vehicle. Unfortunately, when our deputies arrived, the child was deceased. As I mentioned, we're in the beginning stages of this investigation, but what I can tell you is right before this 3-year-old's life was tragically taken, he was doing what any child would do. It's the summertime. He was riding the bicycle with his siblings and his mom not far behind. Our deputies responded. Our deputies' goal in any situation is to serve and protect. And unfortunately, when they arrived to this scene, all they could do was pray. Our deputies are moms, they're dads, and to see a child who is deceased by an unfortunate and tragic accident is heartbreaking. At this time, we are withholding the child's name. We will release that name, but just out of respect for this family as they're navigating the most unimaginable kind of grief, we are going to give them that privacy. At this time, there are no criminal charges. The car involved was a silver Toyota RAV4. The driver of that vehicle did stay on scene and is cooperating with the investigation. As I mentioned, that is all the information I have at this time, but I'll take any questions you may have.
Can you talk about where exactly this happened? Like, was it at an intersection? Was there a stop sign or a speed bump?
Absolutely. So, as you can see, this is a residential area. Families live here, their children are raised here. The children were riding their bicycles in a residential area. This is a parking lot. You can see it's not too busy. Speed and impairment are not a factor at this point. There are speed bumps you could see right here. As I mentioned, this is just an incredibly unfortunate tragedy.
So we know was the car just driving in the complex rather than backing out or something like that?
Yeah, the car was coming around the corner, and unfortunately, when he was turning that corner, the child was there, and that's when the child was struck by the vehicle.
Did the mother witness this?
The mother was on scene. That's a part of the investigation. The mother was not far behind. As I mentioned, the child was riding his bicycle with his siblings, and mom was not far behind. As you can imagine, that mom is going through the worst nightmare, but we are currently in communication with her and determining what happened in those moments. Any other questions?
It was a bicycle, not like a tricycle or anything?
I can confirm that for you, but we're calling it a bicycle. I can double check. The toddler was 3, so I imagine a tricycle, but I can double check and confirm that for you.
Without a helmet on?
I'm sorry, what?
With a helmet on?
I can double check that for you as well.
Can you describe, I guess, how far back into this complex this happened?
Yeah, so it's at the other intersection, so it's at the very end of the complex. There's only one other intersection back there. Like I mentioned, Pitch Pine is a circle, so it just goes right around. So when he was turning that corner is when this accident occurred.
And the name of this complex again?
It's the Place 1 condos. Thank you, everyone.